it's me, Merlin Crossingham, back at it again with a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast. And as always, I'm joined by Baby.
Mm.
We have a slam dunk episode, as always. Second of the new year. I'm just going to keep that trend going the entire year, listing
hmm
which number it is in the year. But we have an exciting, it's kind of a mini Boy Time feature because we both watched the same movie this week. And that
Great.
is Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, the newest Wallace and Gromit flick. Is this the first one since Curse of the Were-Rabbit?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know if they've done anything else.
I know they do a lot of shorts.
Yeah, I think this is the first full length.
Interesting. Well, I am relatively unfamiliar with Wallace and Gromit. I think last week I talked about Curse of the Were-Rabbit. That was the first time I saw it, and I watched it in preparation for the new
Criminal.
film. I'm sure I saw. Okay, so I think I tried watching it in film school, and I think we got about 15 minutes in. We were watching it on DVD, and then the DVD just skipped right to the very end, and then the credits roll. And so, like, the
Rip.
DVD was completely busted. So that was the first time I saw it all the way through, I think. Unless I saw it as a child and don't remember it, which is entirely possible, but I don't know. But I watched it in preparation for Vengeance Most Foul, and you are a Sleeper Wallace and Gromit fan, is that correct?
Correct. I watched Were Rabbit when it came out.
Oh, let me see. I think it came out in 2003.
I thought it was a 6.
Well, let me double check. I have it pulled up here. It was 2005. So we were both wrong, but you were closer. So you were a wee little tyke going to see Wallace and Gromit. You saw it in the theaters?
No, I think we got the DVD of it, and then, like a child, rewatch it like 7 bajillion times.
Oh, so you owned it?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if I still do. I should look for that next time I go to my parents' house.
Yeah, you should try to salvage that.
Gotta get some official media nowadays.
Exactly. Do you have means of playing movies?
I do now, yes.
Oh.
We got a $25 uh, movie DVD player from Walmart, so we could watch our Twin Peaks Definitive Edition DVD.
Oh. It's a DVD player, not a Blu-ray player?
No, it's not a Blu-ray player.
Wow.
That'll come eventually. I'll probably just get an Xbox at some point. But
I didn't know that they made those DVD players.
I didn't either until we walked in, because we were like searching at Goodwill's, because I'm like, who's gonna have a DVD player anymore?
Yeah.
But Walmart has one, and it's locked in the case, which is crazy.
Who's gonna steal a DVD player?
I don't know.
Especially one that's $25. Yeah, and like Best Buy is stopping like physical media sales, so like I can't imagine the demand is very high.
Yeah.
I guess that's where we're at. So you can steal that Wallace and Gromit, and then you can have it for your very own collection.
Exactly.
Start your DVD
I'll get
collection.
Chicken Run while I'm at it too.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was looking at Aardman's other works because I think I don't know. Well, I know I saw Chicken Run because we did a commentary track on it back in the day. And I was shocked to find that it was an allegory for the Holocaust.
Yeah, I watched that very young too, and I did not really pick up on that.
No, it was an interesting experience because I probably saw it as a kid too, and then just did not remember that aspect. And so after seeing Vengeance Most Foul and loving it, I thought, wow, these Aardman guys, I need to check out more of their stuff because, you know, I'm a big Ghibli head, but I'm like, is there another international animation studio that I need to check out? And so I think I might do a little bit of an Aardman deep dive, maybe. I know they have the Pirates movie, which I remember seeing trailers for, but I never saw that. Did you ever see that?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, that might have been a little bit past our time.
Yeah.
Because I was probably seeing it as like a trailer for the Avengers or whatever. I don't know when it came out. But Yeah, so I guess we can just start off with Wallace and Gromit. What did you think of the film?
I thought it was pretty good. Um, it had been a long time since I've seen a Wallace and Gromit film,
Hmm.
probably a good 10 or 15 years. But um, I don't know. I really just the claymation and everything is just insane.
Yeah.
Like that's never just gonna like stop being just insane to me. The detail and everything, and especially in like there were shots where it's like this looks like real life. It
Yeah.
was crazy. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's a pretty traditional Wallace and Gromit movie. I don't think they took any like big maneuvers or anything like covering
No.
new ground or anything. But like, I don't really need it to. It's a feel good, sick movie. I don't like when Gromit was sad. That was my only con.
He's sad in like all these
He
movies
was so
because
understood.
Wallace is like the worst guy. He's the real villain.
Mhm. He's great. He's like one of the only British people I like, but
He's not even a real person. Is that why you
I
like
think
him?
he's a great caricature of just a jolly old British man.
That's true, but he's always like
He's
just
oblivious.
he's oblivious, and it just seems like he doesn't appreciate his friend, the dog,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because Gromit's a workhorse.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, because yeah, there is no difference really between this and Were Rabbit. But was there a short or something that had the penguin in it? I felt like I was missing out on that lore.
Other movie I think that has the penguin as the villain. I don't know if it was a
Hmm.
short or a full movie because I know there's like three before Were Rabbit.
Oh,
I think I've only seen a couple of them,
I
but Were
remember.
Rabbit is like the best one out of them.
I remember the one where they are on a rocket ship and they go to the moon.
Hmm.
I think I watched
There's
that in
also
school.
Oh, okay.
I don't
There's
know
also
why.
a one with the bread, like there's like a serial killer bread factory or something.
Oh, I've
I don't
not
know.
seen that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie was a fantastic and great. I honestly like Wallace and Gromit more than I like the Paddington movies. I'll go that
Okay.
far. Uh, because Paddington is I don't know. And I don't want to get shot in the streets by a bunch of British people. Actually, they wouldn't shoot me. They would shank me or something,
They would, yeah.
or dip some neurotoxin in my tea or something, and then
Hmm.
murder me that way.
Like a
Uh,
civilized people.
yeah, but I feel like that there's something to this relationship with Wallace and Gromit, where like the Paddington relationship is just the bear is really nice to everybody and he has a family, but it often feels like the family is like a secondary thing. Like the bear doesn't really care.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's an interesting kind of dynamic, but everyone likes the bear because he's like super sweet. Uh, I don't know. I need to rewatch the first one because I jumped right into the second one, and because it was the highest rated movie
Is the
ever,
best movie of all time. Yeah.
apparently. And I thought it was pretty good. But I don't know. I really like the dynamic here where Wallace is super self-centered and dumb, and Gromit, he's like the audience substitute, which I feel like every good like animal sidekick needs to be that doesn't talk.
Hmm.
That's like every Disney movie has like an animal sidekick that doesn't talk and then it does like facial expressions at the camera, and that's kind of what Gromit does in this movie. But he
It's
does.
interesting because I haven't seen these movies in a long time, and I couldn't remember if Gromit talked or not, which I think is
Oh.
just a sign of how well he's like playing that role.
Yeah, that's true. I was kind of like, I was half expecting them to make him talk in this one because
Hmm.
there was like some stuff in the beginning where it was like, speak, say, tell me something, or I don't
Yeah, bro
remember.
made a robot for him, but it's voice activated.
Yeah, and he was like, give him
Why'd
a
you do that?
command. And so I half expected, like, oh, at the end of the movie, it's going to come down to Gromit having to say something to stop the gnome from doing some sinister action.
Hmm.
But it didn't end up doing that, probably for the better. But it's also very apropos that, well, I guess we probably shouldn't spoil anything because this
Yeah, it's
movie
pretty
just
new.
came out. But this isn't so much a spoiler, it's about the business side of it. This may be the last Wallace and Gromit movie or
Oh.
last Wallace and Gromit anything because Aardman released a statement before this movie came out saying that I think it's the manufacturer of their clay, which is in, I think, I'm getting the details are a little fuzzy, but I'm pretty sure it was in like Eastern Europe. And something happened. And now that manufacturing company is like gone under. And it's specifically the company that was providing the clay for Gromit, like that specific shade. And so
Mm.
then they said, we can't make any more Wallace and Gromit anything because he's going to look slightly different, which frankly, I don't get.
Honestly, I respect that.
I just, I don't know. Like, I was thinking about that today, and I'm like, you ever seen that video or like those videos of the old guy who's in a paint store and like someone gives him
Uh-huh.
like a color and then he like makes it out of the paint like perfectly?
Yeah.
I'm like, why
The
can't you do
Pantone
that?
that thing by hand.
Yeah. I'm like,
That's
oh,
incredibly difficult.
I know, just get that guy. Get that guy to
Yeah.
come in and then mix some clay together and then
I don't
it'll
know how
do
much clay they go through with these too.
oh, a lot. A lot.
And
I,
imagine, yeah.
if it's anything like, and I know this is slightly different, but the work that was done on Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, because I've seen like the
Hmm.
making of that one, and there was like every single individual face was like a different model, and then they had to like snap it on because it was essentially like a little mechanical puppet, and then they had to like swap the face plates out every
Hmm.
time or like every frame just to like get the like lips to match. And I assume it's a similar process, but this is like just clay. It isn't like a little, well, I don't know. Maybe there are some mechanics to it. There probably is. But, uh, it's not wood, it's all clay. But I don't know. I was also looking out for fingerprints and I only counted a couple. So
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. But it's a great movie about love, camaraderie, and friendship that will be sure to be the movie of the year.
Exactly. I do like all the technology aspect to it too, especially making a claymation movie against like the rising just like numbness that technology brings.
Yeah, that's
I thought
true.
it was a fun topic to handle.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think claymation and stop motion animation was some of the first animation done, period.
Hmm.
Um, I guess like technically the first one would be Shadows, but frankly, I don't really count that. It doesn't really line up to like exactly, but like in the late 1800s, people were like making shadow puppets and filming the shadows, and that was like the
Mm.
precursor to animated movies was that. And then it was like stop motion, and then there's more, but I can't think of them now. But yeah, it's funny that like traditional animation was like not even like that long ago. It was like
Hmm.
40s. Like that was that was when Snow White came out. There was like 60 years before then of people making animated movies, but that's not called traditional animation. A lot to think about. A lot to think
Really?
about. But yeah, I gave Wallace and Gromit a 4.5 because I thought it was fantastic. So
I would agree. I'd
good.
I'd give it a 4 if I were to give it an arbitrary rating.
I
I should
gave
watch Were Rabbit again just to like
yeah,
compare the two.
I gave Were Rabbit 4, so I like this one a
Okay.
little bit more.
See if my nostalgia glasses are part of that or not.
Yeah, that's a good point. You should rewatch it. Raid your parents' house and steal the
Yep.
Wallace and Gromit.
Sneaky.
Yeah, that would be really fun. A little heist thing.
I'll
Anyways,
update on the status of that.
well, perfect. I think we're all very excited to hear how you like Were Rabbit these days. Oh, I actually
Really?
gave Were Rabbit 3.5. That
Oh,
feels
okay.
low, but I won't touch it. That was my first movie of the year. I watched it on New Year's Day.
Oh,
I think. No, I watched the Hitler movie on New Year's Day. Wallace and Gromit was my last movie of 2024. I watched it on the 30th. Because
Gotcha.
Letterboxd did a wrapped thing this
Oh,
year. And so it was like my first movie. Okay, yeah, my first movie of the year was January 1st of 2024. I watched Godzilla. And then my last movie was Curse of the Were-Rabbit. I watched 150 movies, so everybody clap.
everybody clamp.
Everybody clap. I saw some dude posted his and he watched 1,139. And
You're not even watching at that point. I'm sorry.
yeah, I'm like, how do you even do that? Like, I think I averaged it out and it was like 3.5 movies per day you would have to average. And I'm like, if each one of those is an hour and a half, which probably not, that's like 5 hours, over 5 hours every day. But that's assuming that every single one of the movies he was watching was an hour and a half, which movies aren't that long anymore. They're all 3 hours long. Every Marvel
All of
movie
them.
is 2.5 hours. Nosferatu is probably 5 hours long because it's by Robert Eggers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to watch that next week. I'm going to see it next Tuesday. And
Okay.
I will report back.
I'm just glad I watched a movie in January already.
I know. It's a big step.
It is.
You're going to be a real cinephile by the end of the year.
I doubt it.
Okay.
I don't know. I might make a letterbox just to like document what I've seen and what I haven't seen.
That's a good idea.
Because I do lose track of that stuff pretty pretty quickly. If my
Yeah.
year-end lists are any evidence of that.
That's true. I mean, that's why I do it. And I also like that you can log stuff so you can see like
Mhm.
when you watched it. I don't know. I like Letterboxd quite a lot. And my profile picture is just John.
Yeah.
It's John. Shout
Good
out
old boy.
John. I
Yeah,
forgot
shout
his
out
last
John.
name. John. I don't want to dox the guy, so never mind. But also, I watched another movie this week, and it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's a movie called Dog Soldiers. I watched it because Gromit is kind of like the dog soldier to Wallace. So I thought it would be a great compliment to the Wallace and Gromit film. Turns out the movie Dog Soldiers is a werewolf movie. So it really doesn't have anything to do with dogs. And honestly, the dogs that are in it, the werewolves, aren't even soldiers. That's the most confusing thing. Why is the movie called Dog Soldiers when they're just werewolves attacking soldiers? It doesn't make much sense, but I don't know. Dog Soldiers came out in 2002. It was probably a response to 9/11. I have to imagine. I don't know if that was true, but let me see when it came out. Well, it just says 2002, but when in 2002? This is very important. October 2002. It debuted at the Austin Film Festival. So they had a year, and I'll say that it was a response to 9/11.
On record.
On record. Well, it's about soldiers, but it's not American soldiers. It's Scottish. I think the movie is Scottish. Everyone in it is Scottish at least, which I don't know if I've ever seen like a straight up Scottish movie before. I haven't seen Braveheart, but I don't think that's Scottish. I know it has Scottish people in it, like Mel Gibson, a very famous Scot.
Right.
Actually, he's Australian and anti-Semitic, but it's fine. But yeah, we're following this dude. His name is Guy, and he is a soldier. And the movie starts, and he's trying to join the Scottish Special Forces, which I guess is like Navy SEALs or something. and he's trying to do it, and he like gets really close. He evades capture for 22 hours, and then the sergeant is like, "Hey, to get into my squad, you're gonna have to kill this dog." And dude is like, "I don't want to kill a dog. Why would I kill a dog?" And he's like, "You are
A
a
dog
bad."
soldier.
It's not, well, I guess it's just a normal dog. It's like a German Shepherd. It's like a canine unit. And the sergeant says, "If you don't kill this dog, you're never going to get into my squad." And the guy says, "I will never kill the dog." And then the sergeant kills the dog. And then dude is sent back to his old squad with his mates and chums. And they are dropped in to a remote forest to do a training exercise, which isn't really said until too late because I'm like, why are they in the forest? They mentioned something where it's like we're 50 miles past enemy lines, so I assumed, oh, this is like a real thing. They're dropping in, they're doing some sort of mission. But no, it's a training exercise. They all of their guns are loaded with blanks. I don't Why wouldn't it be like paintball? How are you gonna know if you shot someone with a blank? Also,
Blanks do like
blanks
there's something that comes out of it, but
yeah, if you get close enough with a blank and you shoot them point blank, if you will, that can
uh-huh.
still kill people.
Yeah, that can still kill someone.
So why are you using that for a training exercise? It's somewhat lethal, and it's not a very good, like, I don't know. It's like doing a Civil War recreation as a training exercise for the military, and it just doesn't make much sense, I think. That's one of the many flaws of a movie called Dog Soldiers. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, it's not a 10 out of 10 in the story department. But whatever. They're in the forest, and they have a sergeant, and he's the best character in the movie because he's a no nonsense sergeant, and he says, "Follow me, you idiots. You guys are all," and then well, actually, he doesn't say the F slur. If it was like an American movie, he would have said the F slur, but Scottish. I don't think anyone drops any slurs, which is nice. Well,
Incredible.
uh, I'm trying to remember if any of them said the R slur, and I also don't think so, but I could be wrong. My slur senses weren't going off when I watched this movie, so good on ya.
Good sign, I suppose.
Came out in early 2000s. There's always a chance someone's gonna drop the R slur or
Mhm.
the F slur. But again, the Scots would never do that. They're a very loving and accepting
Respectful.
people. So good job. But they are there, and then they find the sergeant that turned dude down, and he was attacked by something, and he won't say what it is. He says, "Oh, there was only supposed to be one of them. There was only supposed to be one of them." And we, the audience, are like, "What the heck? What is he talking about? There's only supposed to be one of them." Except the movie is called Dog Soldiers, and the poster has a werewolf on it. So I was like, "Oh, okay, this guy set them up. He was gonna have them all killed by a bunch of or by a dog soldier, but I guess the dog soldier reproduced. I don't know. Uh, it's kind of muddy because later in the movie it's revealed that it's just like one family are the dog soldiers, and I'm gonna keep calling them dog soldiers even though they're werewolves because it's funny to say. So it's one family. So he knew that there was one, but it turns out there was four or five, and it's just this family that lives in the Scottish Highlands and I guess just eats people every once in a while, every full moon, I guess.
As you do.
I don't know. It doesn't make much sense, but it's just supposed to be like a little hint for the audience to be like, "Hey, this guy, he's probably not a good guy," which we already got by him just shooting a dog in the first 5 minutes of the movie, but whatever. Anyways, it's revealed that it's werewolves, and are chased. Like, "Oh no, we're going through the forest, and one of them dies. Oh no, I'm so sad." And Sergeant gets like disemboweled, which is pretty sad because he's the best character in the movie. So for the rest of the movie, he's basically just like not there, which is a real shame because he's the best. So I was kind of bored from the rest of the movie, especially because, and I'm not being facetious or sarcastic, but all of these white people all look the same. They like, they just picked like 5 copycats where it's all big, like super pale white dudes with light hair. And I'm like, why did you pick all of these people to be exactly the same? I can't tell any of them apart. And like the main guy is so distinguishable. He's just so bland that I'm like, oh, that's the main guy. I forgot that was the main guy because he looks exactly like everyone else. So what I'm saying is that they should have had like they should have made this movie with the sensibilities of like the late 2010s where it was like, well, we have to have one black person and we need to have one Latino, but they're all going to be horrible, gross characteristics of their ethnicity, which I think is an improvement on having them all just be bland white people. That's just me though. Maybe that's too woke. Am I being too woke? Let me know.
Am I being too woke?
I don't want to be misinterpreted as being too woke because then I'll
I
never
love
get a
that.
gig.
I love when people are like, "Am I being too woke?" And then just like, there's just like some racist thing.
Am I being too woke, or do we need to start gatekeeping who's allowed to sharecrop around here? Uh, but yeah, whatever. They're running away from the werewolves, and Sergeant his guts are outside of his body, and he's like barely keeping them in. But then Lady shows up because it's a movie from the late 2000 or the early 2000s. So none of these characters can even be like they I don't know, there has to be a lady. Otherwise the audience is going to assume they're all a bunch of homosexuals. And for that reason, every single character makes an aside where they're like, I wouldn't mind smooching that lady. Just so that we all know that none of these soldiers are fooling around with each other, in the front lines, in the trenches, as bombs are going off over their head. It's a very romantic scene, but we all know that they're not gay because they say, "Lady's hot. Look at those bazombies or
They
whatever."
could swing both ways.
I guess that's
Or was that
true.
not invented yet?
I don't think bisexuality was invented yet. You were either a gay like Ellen or you were a gay like Elton John.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the two things. Or maybe one of the characters on Will and Grace, but they aren't
Mm.
bi. So that's all that the American public knew about gays. And trans people, they were not even calling them trans people. They were calling them something I will not repeat because it is a slur. Isn't that fun?
I think most things Americans called people before a certain time were just all slurs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I will say some slurs are more like creative than others. Like what the
That
heck?
is true.
Like Chinaman? That's
Yeah, that's
that's
just that's you didn't try.
that's not even you didn't even attempt. No, I'm from China. Okay, you are a China man. That's a slur now. That doesn't make any sense. Be more creative, racists. That's all I'm asking. Or you can just die or whatever. Whichever one will get
Whatever
me
comes
more
first.
points. Yeah. But yeah, the lady is there and she is lady. She is there. She is there just to cure the not gays, where it's like we have to make sure that they're all there. That nobody's gay, and she's there to be the romantic lead of Guy, so that Guy and Lady will have many will they won't they moments while they're being attacked by dog soldiers. And there's a bunch of like,
That's what Joe Biden was talking about.
what was he talking about with dog soldiers?
What is it? Dog face pony soldier? Is that what
Oh yeah,
sketch?
dog face pony soldiers. I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Yeah, that's a phrase that just pops up in my head every once in a while.
That was man.
It's a classic.
I forgot. That's a good thing to call someone.
Yeah.
Especially in this movie where there are dog face pony soldiers. Literally. Well, I guess they aren't pony soldiers. I don't really know what a pony soldier
I don't know.
is.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that part is, but
Because the cavalry doesn't really exist anymore. Right? We don't send horses
I
into war.
I don't think so.
Don't think so. You don't think
I
that
don't know.
the
They do that weird
Israelis are
stuff on like
doing that?
The China India border has like some weird stuff.
Oh,
But I think they just use spears on each other. I don't think they go full cavalry.
they do spears?
Yeah, they have like an agreement where they don't use weapons like guns. They only use like pointed sticks and stuff because they don't want it to
Oh,
be like an actual conflict or something.
that still sounds like a conflict.
It does, but it's like not one that will like do any serious like global repercussions apparently.
I guess. It's still murder. You
It
kill
is.
someone
It's
with a
just like
stick.
I don't know. I find the idea of like a boys' agreement to only use pointy sticks kind of funny.
Well, I do like that. Brings it back to a more simpler time.
Yeah.
And I would like to see some footage of it because I can't imagine some like modern soldier like with just a stick
Yeah,
that they
exactly.
whittled to be a little bit pointy at the end. So maybe if someone could send me the live link in the
Yeah.
comments, I would appreciate that.
If that's still happening or if that ever happened.
Or if it
I feel
was
like it
just
did.
a
But
fake news headline here to dupe us all into thinking that China's a bunch of backwater idiots.
yeah, because
Yeah.
that's what my opinion of them is. If you've
Uh,
listened at all to this podcast.
I'm just saying that it's something that the US media would try to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That's all I was
Every
saying.
China headline is China just did an incredible thing, but at what cost?
That's true. What did China do this week?
What did they do this week?
I don't know anything about
I don't know.
anything.
They still be building roads.
That's nice.
Actually, I
They have
think
a pretty big
they have
one.
a new train that's reaching like 400 kilometers per hour. I think,
That's
which
wow.
is insane.
That is insane. I want to go on that train.
Me too.
Wait, wouldn't you pass out? Because like people on like jet planes go that fast, then like they have to be pumped in with oxygen and stuff.
I'm not sure.
Hmm. China better
We're
figure that out.
Americans. We have no like concept of how these things work.
Yeah, I don't really know much about trains.
I don't know how a train works. I rode the L train once, and it was pretty cool,
Oh,
but
I've
it's
never
very
ridden
old.
an L train or a Q train or any of the other ones.
Okay.
My friend works in trains.
Mm,
She works.
good field.
She's working on getting our trains here to expand in Minnesota.
That's good.
Yeah, one of the stops is
Saw
going to
maybe
be right
one
around the
train when I
street.
visited.
Yeah, I think it's more downtown. I've seen it,
Ah,
and I saw it like when I was downtown, which I hardly ever am, but it is there, and it is going to be coming my direction. So I will be able to
that's
ride a
good.
train in roughly 10 years if I'm
It is
still
pretty
here.
sick.
Yeah, I'll probably do it eventually. I'll probably ride a train out to go see Grant in Seattle, which would be
Yeah,
very nice and fun. As long as I don't get attacked by dog soldiers on the way, which is a possibility. But that is something that the soldiers don't really get throughout this entire thing. Like the dogs are attacking them. And it's very clear that they're werewolves because like they're half wolf and half human. But when Lady is like, yeah, they're werewolves, they're all like, no, that's not what they are, you dumb broad. Don't you know that werewolves are fake? And then she's like, well, haven't you noticed that you've been shooting them with like 100 rounds and it isn't doing anything? And they're giant man wolf beasts. And they're like, yeah, but that's fake. That's fake. It's probably all just a big goof. So they don't realize until like the very end that they're being attacked by werewolves, even though it's the most obvious thing ever. And Lady is trying to tell them about it. This is actually a secret feminist film for to teach men to listen to women every once in a while because it turns out that they're right about when werewolves are in the area. So That's just something to keep in mind. Maybe ask your girlfriends or your girlfriend
Bars.
about, yeah, if there's a werewolf nearby, because they'll probably know. And you should heed their advice. That's what I learned from this movie, is that sometimes women might have a point about werewolves.
Makes sense to me.
I think so. Well, women are all in touch with the moon or whatever, so it does
That's
kind of
true.
make sense. Us dudes are all about the sun. That's
Praise the sun.
praise the sun. Have you seen Top Gun?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they play volleyball in the sun. Girls have periods at night. It's what makes
Not during
sense
the
to
day,
me.
though.
No, not during the day. It's just during a night thing, because when the moon's out.
Werewolves.
Yeah,
Werewolf radar.
and then they know. Well,
Uh-huh.
those are the ones that have their cycles synced with the full moon. They're like, uh-oh, I'm bleeding, so therefore I know that there's a werewolf in town.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I think so. So that's
Sorry, I went to the U.S. educational system. I can't tell if this is real or not.
yeah, I don't really know much about periods. I just have to assume
Yeah.
werewolves are involved
hmm
because obviously the moon. Well, does that mean that women are also more likely to be vampires or can detect vampires?
You might have to watch Nosferatu first to figure that out.
That's a good point. I've seen the original Nosferatu, and it didn't really clear anything up. I'm gonna be honest.
This is a modern take, so
That's true. That's
he
true.
hangs dong too. So
He
there might be a
does?
little more of a. I think so.
Oh, that's interesting. He did not hang dong in the original. But that
I wouldn't
original,
expect him to. But
well, it's a German movie from 1921.
yeah, maybe.
They were just all about nakedness. Well, I guess they kind of still are over
Yeah,
there in
the
Central
European
Europe.
thing in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I should have assumed. I was watching Amelie the other day, which is a very quirky movie about learning to be nice to random strangers. And like for absolutely no reason at all, in like the first 5 minutes, they're like showing Amelie getting born, and then it just like does a close up of her mom's tits as like she's giving birth, and I'm like, that I don't know if that's necessary.
I don't know if we needed that shot.
I don't think so. It's very interesting. The French have a way with visual storytelling, I guess.
They really do.
That's how I knew that she was a lady. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that. Although I guess technically she could have been a trans man. He could have been a trans man
In the 20s or whatever.
in
Whatever that movie.
2005 or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, possibly.
It's possible. They were ahead of the curve over there. Berlin. Well, actually, that's a different country. But you know, the French have always been very loving, accepting people, except of rich people.
Berlin, France.
Well, the Nazis ruled over France, so at one point they were the same
suppose.
country for a couple of years. If you take that into account, they actually have a lot in common. They were both briefly under Nazi control, as we discussed last week in the Nazi film.
It's all Italian.
Yeah, this year is all about connective tissue for me. Every movie is going to tie in with the last one.
Every podcast has a through line.
Exactly. I knew that this review / discussion of Dog Soldiers would tie into the movie about Hitler's final days in his bunker. It's very clear. It was a straight line. But whatever. It doesn't matter what happens at the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, Lady and Guy are gonna kiss, and then Lady says, "I'm sorry. I'm actually a werewolf." The whole time. It was a big twist. And so then she turns into a werewolf and she like kills everybody. And I don't remember if Guy gets out. I think he does. But it doesn't really matter because I don't care about Guy at all. And I only care about Sergeant, and Sergeant died. So that's Dog Soldiers. As the kids say, it's dog water.
Got him.
That's what I like to say. I gave it 1.5 stars, but I also gave it a heart because it's so stupid that it was kind of funny. So I did kind of enjoy my time with Dog Soldiers. But what I was shocked to find out is that this movie is at least somewhat beloved because there's a lot of 4-star reviews. There is over 10,000 4-star reviews of Dog Soldiers, making up for 25% of all people that watched it gave it a 4-star review. Um, so everybody likes this. And I don't want to be that guy because I'm the least pretentious guy out there. I don't like gatekeeping or being an evil guy that makes fun of people for their tastes. But I think they're all stupid because this is like fodder for dumb people because it's like there's a scene where a guy like throws his guns down and has a fist fight with a werewolf so that all of the people are like, "Yay, he's punching a werewolf. This is so awesome." And there's a line. They do it in this movie where a guy gets in a car and he's like, um, he's right behind me, isn't he? And then he turns around and there's a werewolf. They literally do the thing. And I'm like, wow, wow. It is very cliche, it's very stupid, but it's also kind of funny. So in the end, it's a movie that I think everyone will get something out of, or you won't, and you'll just be bored and angry, like a square loser. So that's Dog Soldiers. Don't watch it, or do. I don't care. It's fine, but it is funny, kind of. There's so many qualifiers to my recommendation of Dog Soldiers, but end of the day, it's a 2000s movie where guy and lady almost get together, but lady turns out to be a dog soldier. Except she's not a soldier. This is the worst title of any movie I've ever watched. I can't believe there's a real movie called Dog Soldiers. And frankly, I can't believe it was on my 1,000 movies to watch before I die list. So I just searched dog in my little database where I uploaded all those titles. And I could have watched something like Dog Day Afternoon or Straw Dogs or Reservoir Dogs, like a good movie. But instead, I decided to go with Dog Soldiers because I couldn't believe it. And after watching it, I still don't believe that they named the movie that. But what does it even matter, anyways? I don't care. I love Dog Soldiers, or I don't. Anyways, that's my very rational and complete thoughts on Dog Soldiers. What did you think of my review?
Yeah.
Thanks. That's a glowing review. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. I didn't watch anything else. No movies anyway. I've been watching Better Call Saul. It's a very
Yes,
good
sir.
program. I love when Howard gets upset. That's my favorite part of the show. I don't like that they tried to make Howard the bad guy. They should have made Howard the good guy, actually.
I mean, kind of is. Well, not really, but like as it goes on,
Yeah,
compared to
that's
the rest
true.
of the people you see on screen.
Well, yeah. He's not. I don't know. I'm in season 4 right now, and I'm like, I remember, like, I know there's something later where they like pull pranks on Howard, and I remember feeling
Yeah.
bad for him
Yeah.
then. But like throughout the whole like this season, he's constantly being mean to Jimmy, and I don't like that.
Exactly.
Don't be
There's a
mean to
tipping
Jimmy.
point.
Yeah, I've also been like really rooting for Jimmy not to be a bad guy. Like I, the whole time I'm like hoping that he makes better decisions than he does, than I know he does. And that's kind of disappointing for me that the show won't change to fit my needs.
Mm-hmm.
They should make that with AI. That's what I
The
want.
show just changes the second time you watch it.
Yeah, I want AI to be used for that. To I want to watch Game of Thrones but with a different ending, and then AI will script that, and it will be like the normal show for the first 4 seasons, then the last 4 seasons are gonna be like funny hijinks and stuff, like pratfalls and slipping
Yeah,
on
just
a
chill.
banana peel.
Better Call Saul just turns into a sitcom.
I would like that.
Nothing bad happens. I think it would work well.
Like a multicam sitcom, like Full House.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Kimmy, I'm home. Do you think when Better Call Saul was coming out, do you think they had a ship name for Jimmy and Kim that was just Kimmy?
I feel like, yeah. I feel like that's something that was definitely like during that time period too. That was very popular. I
Yeah.
think there had to have been
But they are
something.
canonly together. So
Yeah, but you can still ship them,
you can?
I guess.
I've always been more of a coward man. Kim and Howard.
Mm. Howard.
A coward. See, that's a good ship name.
I'm a. Uh,
I'm a cuck. Kim and
I
Chuck.
I wanted to mix Mike and Ziegler, but there's no way to do it.
Meagler?
Meagler.
Michler? Uh
Yeah, it doesn't work that well, but
no, it doesn't.
that's what's in my head.
I did just get to that part in the show where
Yeah, it's so sad.
he hasn't like 86
You
done,
got there yet? Yeah.
but he just showed up and he has all the boys in the bunker and they're
Mhm.
all having a good time. Not really, but
They're
yeah,
doing their job.
they're doing their job. They're blasting holes, which is what I do.
It's a man's job.
Yeah, I do that. Most Sundays, I have the days off, so I go to the local club and I blast
Hole
some
blaster.
holes. Yeah. I wouldn't read too much into what that means, but I'm gonna pass it on over to Babby for his segment of the show, music.
Before it gets any more problematic over there,
Yeah,
we get to talk about music that came out this year now.
really?
This is where the fun begins. Um, where are we gonna start? We had a lot of news this week too. I
Oh,
think this is where we start getting into actual release radar stuff.
oh,
Um, Japanese Breakfast announced new album.
oh,
Uh,
nice.
it's called For Melancholy Brunettes and Sad Women, which is a Taylor Swift ass title, but it's fine because I enjoy Japanese
It
Breakfast.
does sound like a Taylor Swift album.
Yeah, there's a new
Uh,
single out for it. I have not listened to it though.
oh,
The cover also looks like something off of like 2012 Tumblr. Maybe that's what she's going for.
maybe.
But there's a Jeff Bridges feature on this album on
Oh,
a song called Men in Bars, which I think is interesting. So, um, but I'm excited for it. I like Jubilee quite a bit. I think that's a pretty sick album.
it is pretty
Um,
good.
so I'm excited for this. I feel like most Dead Oceans artists are just solid always. So, all right, spelling back
Oh,
out of nowhere.
there is a bunch
Uh,
of news.
that's so funny because I was just listening to The Turning Wheel again, like this weekend, and I'm like, I wonder what spelling's doing. And she's back. So, new album comes out, I think in March. Yeah, March is gonna be the big month. Everything that like got announced is coming out in March, which is weird.
Oh,
I guess it gives you a 2 month window. But Portrait of My Heart is the title. We got a new single, which is the title track actually. Never mind. Um, it's interesting. It's definitely a lot different than the Turning Wheel. I think it's less art poppy in the more traditional Kate Bush kind of way, and more has this like weird rock bent to it that I really like. It's got some attitude in it, which is really great. So
mm,
uh, I'm excited for this. I think the Turning Wheel is pretty fantastic. I think I listened to that before we did Kate Bush, and I'm like, wow, she really is inspired by Kate Bush like a ton, but just has a little bit of a different spin on it. So,
mm.
uh, very excited for that. I'm sure that'll be good. I'm sure Fantano is jumping for joy
I'm sure he
at this
is.
announcement. So, um, another big one, Clipping, new album.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
what the heck?
This one comes out in March as well. Uh, it is called Dead Channel Sky. I'm not sure if it does look like the Run It single and the Keep Pushing single from last year are going to be on this thing, and then they also had changed the channel that came out with the announcement. It seems like they're going for a cyberpunky techno acid house hip hop album,
Oh,
which is crazy sounding. It sounds better than the entirety of like the cyberpunk soundtrack, and like perfectly fits that vibe better than that game actually does.
uh-oh.
So I'm very excited for this. Um, I don't know. They always kind of push the boundaries of what you can really do with hip hop, in terms of like this kind of, you get the horrorcore aspects, you get these weird glitchy aspects. So, um, and I'm not a fan of musicals, but David Diggs is pretty sick. So,
Yes, he has a great movie called
mm-hmm.
Moonlighting or something.
Ah, yes, forgot about that.
Spotlighting? I don't remember. It's something, and it's good.
But
But
yeah, very excited for this one. We have an ASAP Rock feature on here, which is crazy. That fits so perfectly into this album concept. So I'm glad ASAP Rock was able to jump on this thing. It's gonna be like an hour long. There's 20 tracks, so that'll probably be a dense, overwhelming listen. Um, but excited for that. We already got stuff building up, which is great. I'm glad not everything is just like dropping immediately, but I'm glad I have like things to look forward to now. Um,
that's true.
because I remember beginning of like 2023, I think there was nothing for like 4 months. There was a drought, just like not even announcements or anything. It was rough.
Right.
So I'm glad we're just like picking up right where we left off. Um, I think I talked about the Panchico album coming out in April last week, but the new single, Shandy in the Graveyard with Billy Woods, is out. Um, I was excited to listen to this because I don't know what Billy Woods was going to do on a Dream Pop artist's uh, like song. Um, it's pretty solid. It works. I don't know I don't know if Billy Woods needs to be on this album. Um, I it works. I just don't know. It doesn't really fit the vibe as much.
Mm,
Um, it feels like it should be like a Billy Woods track and not a Panchico track, because I feel like they kind of just give Billy Woods the track and just do backing with instrumentals and stuff. But it is a pretty good song. It's a I'm really liking how both Arm and Hammer Boys are just like diving into all these different genres and really expanding it, which is just working out really well. So definitely one of the more unique tracks I've heard in a while, but very good. I don't think I've listened to a full Panchico album before, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. It seems like a good one to jump into. Um, but I think that's all the. Oh, there's one more. Mac Miller, new single.
oh.
I say new. It's it's released single finally. Um, this is $5 Pony Rides. This is the lead single to Balloonerism, which comes out next Friday, the 17th. I'm very excited. This song is great. I haven't heard any of the Balloonerism tracks, surprisingly, so I'm really excited to kind of hear this in its like most you know put together format. I think this was a like mixtape before Faces, so I think we're gonna get a lot of stuff that sounds like Faces, but probably not as fully developed into that.
Mm,
Which for me is very exciting because Faces is maybe my favorite of his. Um, but you definitely get the mixture of kind of neo soul, jazz rap, and this more uh, kind of almost drugged out hip hop, which goes over really well. He's got a lot of charisma on here. It just flows really well. There's still that like kind of awkwardness um, that is through this track. I think it took him a while to like really, really, really fit into this kind of neo soul jazz rap fusion thing that he kind of perfected on Swimming in Circles. So there's a little bit of that like weird awkwardness, but it actually it does. It's not like a negative on the track. I think it's pretty sick to kind of hear the evolution there. So very excited for this album. We get a SZA feature on one of the tracks. SZA
oh,
feature from probably like 2013 or 2014, which will be really interesting.
that is
Um,
interesting.
but yeah, we do have the track list now, so it's an hour long. The last track is 12 minutes long, which is crazy. So
Oh,
excited to hear what that is. Um, but yeah, that's coming next Friday, and I'm very excited. This will be the first like posthumous release where it's like not just a. It's technically a re-release, but this was never officially released.
mm,
So there's just a whole bunch of like leaked albums. So this will be like the fully. I don't want to say finished, but the fully like put together version. I'm assuming most of the stuff was already pretty far along. So, um, yeah, very excited. Okay, we got two albums to talk about. First two
Whoa.
of the year. Actually, we have one album to talk about. Apologies. Um, we'll get to the non-album last. Um, but first one I'll talk about is from a band called Asian Glow, which I believe they did a collab record with Parannoul in 2021. So I think this is part of the South Korean kind of noise pop shoegaze. I don't want to say invasion, but group of artists from over there that have been doing a lot of this stuff. Um, and the album is 11100011. I don't know if that's actual binary or not, but that's what they were going for.
Hmm.
So it definitely fits into this kind of like noise pop, dream pop, haziness of all the stuff that you'd come to expect from that. It's solid. I don't think it's the most memorable thing in the world. I feel like it parts of it kind of just like went in one year and out the other. I think if you listen to enough shoegaze or just like noise pop in general, it takes a lot for something to really stick out to you because at the end of the day, it does kind of blend together. It itches your brain, but it's not something that like you can actively get into all the time. Um, they do have some really like interesting, like almost emo things that kind of come in towards the back end, which is really nice. There's kind of like South Korean take on emo mixed with noise pop, which is pretty interesting. So it's a solid record. I got a little bit of like KKB Time and Place in there a
Hmm.
little bit, which is really nice. A lot of a little bit of like Porter Robinson's latest album too
Hmm.
pops up in here. More of the those weird electronics and just like the vocal melodies they were going on had that little bit of a Porter Robinson inspiration on it, which
Hmm.
was really cool. So solid release. Nothing too crazy. I don't think this will be anything that really sticks past these first couple of weeks here, but still interesting nonetheless. Okay, big one this week. The one I've been waiting on. We got the new Ethel Cain EP,
Oh yeah.
Perverts. It's Pervert Winter.
I don't know if you want to say that.
I know, I've been seeing people say that. I'm like, I don't know.
Really?
Brat Summer was cool. I don't know if Pervert Winter is the phrase we want to go
Yeah.
with here.
Yeah. Let's not.
Um, uh, but this is the hour and a half, 9 song EP. Um, and it is very divisive
Uh oh.
across the Ethel Cain fandom.
Oh.
Um, I think it's mostly divisive with the people that apparently did not know what she was trying to do with this,
Hmm.
because I feel like she made it very clear that this is like a drone slow album, but people were still like, "Why did she do this?"
Oh.
But that's kind of like a different subsect of her audience. I think that's the people that like really were into like American Teenager and the stuff that really popped off when Future Starter came out. The more traditional kind of singer songwriter Americana stuff, and less the Tholomes on that record, which are deep and dark and disturbing. But this kind of takes her in a very drone like ambient craziness on this record. The opener is like 12 minutes and very, 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 very slow. Um, I will say like it was a long listen. I had to break it up into like two or three listens just because like there's some drone music where it does carry melody and there does feel like forward progression. The first half of this record is a little bit difficult to get into, even as someone who has listened to their fair share of drone records. Um, but the intro does a good job of like just setting up tension and what we're trying to get at with this album or EP. Sorry, I don't. It's a project. I know people are still mad that it's like this is an EP technically, but I don't really care. I don't know if it really means anything. Um, I mean, I think it's coming out on record still, so I'm not really sure what the the proper
I
naming
don't
should
know.
be. Um, but I don't know. It's a very creepy intro. You got these like weird hits of like there's a drone going. You got these weird hits of bass coming through. She doesn't really like sing a whole lot on this record. Most of it is like vocal clips and stuff, except for a few songs. Um, but that like disturbing intro leads perfectly into Punish, which is probably the most straightforward song on the record. So it's like a really nice segue into that, um, which that has fantastic crescendo and it's a beautiful piano ballad. House of Psychotic Women is difficult. Uh, there's not really a forward melody pushing. It's just like a whirring drone that progressively gets a little bit louder and crazier. Um, very unsettling. But I think from all that is like kind of sets up the mood of the record, and then I think that like really lets like track 4 through 9 just really shine, because 4 through 9 is really fantastic. Vacillator is fantastic. Um, like the only one of the only like little bits of warmth and melody coming in here is just really great. The lyrics are still kind of unhinged and very dark. It's like a love song, but in a very dark, messed up, trauma bonded way. But it sounds amazing. Um, Onanist, I think that's how you say that. We're back to drones, but she's actually got some vocals on this track. There's some hits of like actual noise in here. I was wondering how noisy it was gonna get. It does not get very noisy. It's very, very, very minimal throughout most of it. But I mean, I think the setup of the first 3 tracks I think is needed, because you start hearing these like bits of actual melodies and warm tones and stuff coming in, and it just helps a lot more going through the record. Um, Pull Drone is crazy. Uh, Maybe the most off-putting song on the record. She's just like going through these like really strange, I don't know, like uh it's like reading a Bible passage almost, with like things you must do, or like the 10 Commandments or something, but it's like
Oh,
all really messed up. Over this like buzzing weird, I think it's like a violin drone, like a natural violin drone, which is just extremely unsettling. Um this reminded me most of like a Lingua Ignota song, just because of like that violin serving as a drone is just so sinister sounding. Um, but this one definitely puts you in a mood. Like this one punched through a lot of the other ones for me, where it was just like I felt like dirty after listening to this. It was just not a fun experience, but it's a fantastic song. Um, and then the record kind of finishes in this really nice, not positive manner, but like there's a lot more of a melody that starts coming through on the last 3. A lot more piano. I think they're a little bit easier to get into initially, because Etienne, or however you say that, is phenomenal. uh Thetortia, I don't know, I can't pronounce any of this stuff.
good
What are you
luck.
doing to me, Ethel? um but yeah, Thetortia is pretty tortured. But she has I was like curious how she was going to do drone, because I feel like people are just like, oh, you just put on a drone, it's easy. I feel like it's very difficult to carry something for this long too. It is a difficult listen, but I do think she does a good job of splitting up the songs that have a little bit more of a melody focus, and ones that are more of a sound collage of very unsettling things. um, but the closer, Amber Waves, I think is the main standout for a lot of people, as it is not the most straightforward, but probably the next most straightforward after Punish. Um, and it does serve as like an amazing crescendo for this arduous journey you had to go through to get to this point. It's a perfect payoff. I think the experiment on that definitely worked. Um, so I don't know. It's really great. I think people are still kind of digging through it and seeing if it's something that they're into or not. I think it will put off a lot of people that are into the more pop centric stuff that you did on Preacher's Daughter.
Hmm.
Um, but for freaks like me, this is really what I'm into when it comes to like this incredibly like dark, ambient, drawn out, just like slodge of a project. It's really great. And it does feel like a good continuation, because she had that From the River song last year that is very much in the same vein of this ambient piano ballad that's just like super drawn out, and I thought that song was like incredibly beautiful. So just building on that in the CP is just great. So lived up to my expectations. Definitely, I was definitely just like looking forward to how she was going to tackle this, because there you can draw a lot of things together from slowcore and more drone stuff, but it's very hard to be good at both of them. Um, just understanding how drone works, when especially when there's like parts where there are not a lot of melodic moments at all, you have to like just pay off the listener a little bit at certain points, and I think she does a pretty solid job at that. So yeah, check it out if you're into that. If you've heard Preacher's Daughter, I would definitely give this a try. It might not be for you, but I think it definitely deserves the time of day. Um, I'll be interested to see where she goes from here. I feel like I do really enjoy the way she carries herself. I know she's very much like rejecting part of her audience that is not serious about her messaging,
Hmm.
and just kind of like is in it for the more poppy aesthetics for it. So I think on one hand, this just kind of like tackles that issue, but at the other, eh, I like that she's not like forming into a certain thing that she doesn't want to be. She's making the music she wants to make. So this feels incredibly personal and like I don't think you can make this kind of stuff without having something that makes you want to, produce sounds that sound this messed up at times. So, but fantastic. I think the year's out to a very gothic start with Nosferatu and this coming out within a short time period of each
That's
other.
yeah, that's true.
So,
Oof.
but I think that's it for this week. So,
That's it?
that's it. We'll be back next week with Mac Miller talk and whatever else happens.
Whenever I hear Mac Miller's name, I always think of the Control verse and how Kendrick says it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Mac Miller.
If we ever
Just
do
so angry.
faces, you'll hear Mac Miller's response to that.
Really?
Yeah,
Does he say, I will actually kill you, Kendrick Lamar?
something like that. Actually, I think it's on a
Oh,
song with Schoolboy on it. It's funny.
oh, nice.
I'm gonna put some Mac Miller on the wheel. I'm
Okay.
waiting to see which one is the correct one to be an introductory
Mm,
point
I've
because I think
listened to that
Faces is
one.
good, but it's an hour
Swimming?
and a half long.
What did I
Um,
listen to?
I think you listen to Circles.
That sounds correct. It's the most recent one before he passed. Yeah, it
Yes,
was
his
Circles.
posthumous,
Yes.
actual
Oh, yeah, I
posthumous.
guess his first
Yeah,
posthumous. Yeah.
yeah. I think you'd enjoy his music quite a bit. So I think we're reaching a point where I'm like, I think I'm ready.
Yeah. We're going to listen to
Mhm.
kids.
No,
Why not? I
I I I
love
don't
his
know if Kids
spins.
is worth it at all. Blue Slide Park is okay, but like I don't think you need to do anything before 2013. I don't think it's
Mm,
necessarily worth it.
yeah.
I don't think it aged that well.
But the spins is such a banger.
But the Spins is a banger.
What about Donald
Kool-Aid and
Trump?
frozen pizza. Donald Trump's decent, but
What's one that one on?
what one is that one? I think is that Blue Slide Park?
I don't know.
I don't know actually.
I guess I can just search Donald
Oh, it's on
Trump.
Best Day Ever, I think. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
That was like he was very much a pop rap kind of guy before 2013. And then I'm assuming he took some sort of psychedelic and had an awakening and started making really good music. So
Probably. Yeah, it was like frat rap,
it
kind
was
of.
frat rap. And then all of a sudden watching movies came out and it was like this really weird abstract psychedelic album.
That's
And the
interesting.
rest is history.
Or herstory.
Herstory.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, I'll do some thinking because I'll put one of them on there. It's just a lot of them are very long. Like Good AM is an hour and 10 as well.
Oh, geez.
Because
Okay.
like swimming is obviously the choice, but like I feel like there needs to be a build up before we get to swimming because that album is very personal.
Oh, okay.
Like I feel like it won't be well ingested if there's not a little bit of a baseline before, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm down for whatever. Add it to your I've already listened to it. Whatever.
Exactly. Whatever I'm calling it. I
Whatever
still
it's
haven't came up
called.
with a kitchen name for it.
We'll figure it out eventually. In terms of stuff I've listened to, I don't think I've listened to a whole lot of new stuff, but we did get a new song from Runner, one of my
With three
favorites,
N's
with three
or
N's.
R's. Yeah, that's
Three
fine.
N's. Yeah, he does the thing. I just like went on his Twitter for like the first time today because the song came out. Actually, it did come out today. And so I wanted to see if it was like a lead into an album, and he hasn't really said, but uh, he does the thing kind of like Schoolboy Q or something, where on Twitter he has like his own language. Or I don't
Oh yeah,
remember.
every
Just
H is capitalized.
yeah, that's Schoolboy's thing. But every time he does and or something or and he just does it as NNN. So it's
Mm.
like stuff. Oh my god, that's kind of quirky and fun. But Coinstar is the name of the new Runner song, and it's very fun. The story that he posted about it, it's like really sad. Or it was something like I was in my room like 3 years ago, unable to move, like stricken with panic, and I wrote this song, and it's like a folk pop song. So I don't really know how those two correlate, but it is really, really fun. And I think Runner's kind of on a roll.
A
Uh,
run, if you will.
he's on a run. Yeah, he had his first album is another sublet. I know Spotify has Always Repeating as an album, but I think that's just like a collection of EPs. It's like kind of like a mixtape or whatever. Um, and then his first album is Like Dying Stars Were Reaching Out, which is on my wheel. It's very good. Nobody's gonna watch that video because that album is not very popular with the
You'll
kids.
be surprised.
Yeah? Do
Yeah, I
people
feel
know
like some videos
Runner?
we put out randomly just like get more traction than I thought. I mean, I've known of Runner for a while. I just never listened to anything.
Okay. Yeah, but you're
How? I'm
you.
not really sure, but
I don't know. It might have been me. I've been a fan of his for a
potentially
couple years.
secondhand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has one of my favorite songs of all time is Your Name on a Grain of Rice by him. And his last single came out in October, the Untitled October song. And I really, really like that song. It's been in constant rotation since October, so for 2 months. And Coinstar is going to be up there because that one's really good too. I don't know if this is all a lead up to his next album. He's dropped two really great singles so far. So that's all I'll say about it. Check it out. It's pretty good.
Why don't you?
Why don't ya? I think that's pretty much it. I haven't really listened to anything else. Uh, I listened to like half of Neil Young's After the Gold Rush, which came out before Harvest. Feels like that title should have been the album for what came after Harvest, but I digress. It's fine. I feel like this is like the third album I hear people talk about when it comes to Neil Young. And I heard the first song and I'm like, oh, this is great. And then it didn't really keep that up for me. But that's just me, though. Other than
I
that,
feel like
that's
albums used to front load like the first song had to be like the best song because
yeah,
otherwise you wouldn't buy the album.
that's definitely true. I mean, especially in like the 50s. Like you look at some old like Marvin Gaye records and they're just called like Heard It Through the Grapevine and 9 other songs.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, okay, you buy this record because the one song you heard on the radio or at the diner, and you're like, hey, that cat's making some pretty good tunes. Let's go over to the record store and beep bop boobity bop bowl. That's how people in the 50s talked.
Yep.
And it's just like that. I don't know, it's funny. But yeah, that Neil Young album came out in 1970. I think it was his second album. So yeah, it's interesting. Harvest is definitely where you should start. I'll just say that. I did re-listen to Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and man, I forgot how good that record is. It's really solid. I think that one's on my wheel too, but I
I
haven't
think
listened to it since the songs got re-added. Because I think
oh yeah.
for a couple years, because Neil Young and Dave Crosby both did, they pulled their stuff off of Spotify, and so for like a couple years, there was like 3 songs on Deja Vu that you could listen to, that I guess had just Stills and Nash writing credits. So all of them are back, and it's a very very solid record. We'll do it eventually, probably. There's a song on that record called 4 plus 20. I can't
That's
believe they got
funny.
away with that in 1970.
In the 70s.
I know.
Insane.
So controversial. But I think that's it. Check out Coinstar, listen to some Neil Young, and that's all my recommendations for today.
Neat.
And I guess that's it for this podcast episode, unless you have something else you want to talk about.
No, my brain is empty.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, then I guess check out our stuff on the main channel. We have a couple videos backlogged, but our top reactions of the year should be coming out very soon, if it's not already out by the time this podcast comes out.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a video for the SZA Deluxe coming out, which we recorded before the new mixes. Have you listened to it?
No, I haven't had any need to go back.
Yeah, I
Check it
haven't
out.
either.
Yeah,
But
I'll just put a disclaimer when we release that.
yeah, that's probably a good
'Cause
idea.
I'm sure the comments will still talk about it, but it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. We don't make very many videos where we are just negative. It was
Yeah.
bad.
I don't know if I think it's just because we both care about SZA
That's
more
true.
than the average artist. So when something happens like that, it's just like I'm gonna get a little
Yeah, it's a little
little
disappointing.
mad. Yeah.
It's a little different when Cemetery drops whatever we listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, that's expected. It isn't expected
The
for
mixing
Cemetery
on that
to-
record was better than.
Well, that's true. That is 100% correct. I could understand what Cemetery was saying.
Yes.
I didn't really like it.
Which is a bad thing for a Cemetery record.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's a good point. I still think about that time he said that Anya Taylor-Joy was the witch in The Witch, and I'm like, I know for a fact that Cemetery was writing the lyrics for that song, and he was like, who was in that witch movie? And he hadn't seen it. He was like, oh, it was Anya Taylor-Joy. I'm gonna write that as a lyric. And I'm just gonna assume that she's the witch because she's the top billed person in this movie that I haven't seen.
That is actually one of my favorite hip hop things, though.
Yeah.
When people like misquote a person or something and just like get it mixed up. That's one of my favorite things. It happens a lot.
And it just flies.
Yeah. Like the Kendrick thing with the
Oh, with the what was it?
Joe Hill Osteen or
Oh
whatever
yeah,
he
Joel.
said.
Feeling like Joel Hill Osteen instead
Yeah,
of
he
Haley
got it
Joel
mixed up.
Osment.
Mhm. People have been doing that since the birth of hip hop. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean the classic one is "Keep It 300 Like the Romans."
Exactly. I think Nas did one like in the 90s, so it's been
Oh.
around.
Or "She Blow My Dick Like a Cello."
Of course.
Famously, Lil Yachty. That is the best. And it's always funny. Like, I love that clip that Yachty did where he was on Genius and he was like, I'm going to blame my A&R.
Squidward play.
Yeah, he's like, I thought Squidward played the cello. He don't. He played the flute. It's like, he doesn't play the flute either. It's like he got it wrong in his correction where he was trying to make up for his mistake. Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, shout out Haley Joel Osteen.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out the Romans. And shout out Roman Roy from the show Succession.
Mm-hmm.
Kieran Culkin.
What a guy.
He was in a movie with Jesse Eisenberg that I have not seen, but I immediately after I saw that, I said, that is the most perfect casting I've ever seen for a motion picture.
Mm-hmm.
Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg on screen together. That's the
shenanigans.
Honestly, I don't even really want to see it because I feel like it's just going to be very toxic.
Too much.
It's too much. Jesse Eisenberg, too smart. And Kieran Culkin, too dry and
sassy.
nasty. He's a sexual deviant, that Kieran Culkin.
He really is.
That's based on him and very briefly in Fargo season 2, him and Scott Pilgrim, where he plays a gay guy, which I just assume is a sexual deviant. and
Cut
his
that, cut that.
cut that cut, and his role in Succession, where
Which he absolutely was.
he sends a dick pic to his father,
Hmm.
which is probably the best scene in that show.
Yeah. I don't know how you act out that scenario, but he really did his best with
He
that.
did.
He
He knocked it out of the park.
the sheer disappointment was just
I love that
insane how
punch
you can
in,
pull that out of him. Yeah.
where it's like he sends it to his dad, and the moment he realizes it, they like pan over to him, like whip pan over and zoom in. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Oh, I don't. I know I've said this before. There's no way in hell I'm ever gonna watch Succession ever again.
Yeah, I think about it sometimes. I'm like, I can't go through that again.
Mm-mm. That's something
I
I
mean,
don't
it's
understand.
phenomenal. It's one of my favorites, but I don't know if I could do that again.
No, I don't. I don't think I ever will. Like, I'll rewatch Better Call Saul every day,
Of course.
but Succession's different. I just don't understand. My friend that's up here, she's a huge Succession fan. She has a Succession Stan account.
Mm.
And like a couple months ago, she went on a plane to New York City on a weekend trip because Jeremy Strong was on a Broadway show and she had to go see Jeremy Strong in person. Which, from what I've heard about Jeremy Strong, is that he's kind of a weirdo. But
Yeah, his fit was kind of strange.
yeah, it's like
He was like in every picture. It was funny.
I think from what I hear, it's like he's barely acting as Kendall. Like that kind of seems to be his personality, which is
Just the look
interesting.
on his face all the time. I can believe that.
Yeah, I kind of can too. But shout out Jeremy Strong. Shout out Kieran Culkin. Shout out everyone else. Brian Cox.
Yeah.
And the guy from
Funny
Ferris
name.
Bueller's Day Off.
Just because.
Yeah. What was his name in the show? Ryan? Greg?
Not Greg. I like Greg. Except when I didn't.
Yeah. I don't remember what his name is.
Was it Jerry?
No, I would have remembered that.
Oh no, Jerry is the
Yeah, that's the lady that was supposed to get the dick pic.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I forgot.
I just know him as Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I think that's his name. Whatever. That's it. Also, next week I will have a very fun and exciting announcement of a podcast that is going to be coming out that I'm also on. But it's not quite done yet. Yeah, I know.
But I'm involved.
Yes. Behind the scenes. You pull the strings. You're our producer in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Except I don't think you've done anything besides design the graphics for it. But you're like our producers in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be a movie review podcast. And the first episode will hopefully be out by next week. So just gonna put that out into the ether. And I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited for the next episode that we're going to do. I even bought another movie, a physical copy of a documentary because it's not on anything, but I had to watch it as part of that review for our next episode. So, yeah, it's going to be a pretty serious affair and it's going to get real. We're going to have really fine-tuned film criticism and it's going to
take over this podcast once you blow up.
I guess so. I don't think it'll get that far, but who knows. So stay tuned. Keep your ear to the ground for that one. I'm very excited. I think the first episode came out great. So I'll just say that. But that's it.
Talk to a podcast.
Yeah, I was on Talk to a. I'll come clean. She was like, I will pay you 100 Talk to a coin if you come on my show. Hot coin, is that what it's called?
I think so.
I'll give you 2,000 hot coin if you come on my show and say how good hot coin is. And you know, I didn't realize that it was a pump and dump scheme. I thought that she was serious about the blockchain and
Genuine.
crypto.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard of like a flash in the pan, one hit wonder influencer like doing that kind of scam before. It's just
Yeah, I mean, it's
unheard of.
complicated. You gotta, like, learn it. Like, you don't wanna go through all that just to, like, scam people.
Right, right. I mean,
There's an
like,
initiation process.
yeah, like niche internet celebrities have never led me wrong when it comes to NFTs or
Mhm,
crypto.
mhm.
Anything that like a rug pull scheme can be played in, it's never
$19
happened.
Fortnite gift card.
Yeah, it's never happened. Everyone has just been really honest and true, except for the Haktua girl. So when that
Mhm.
happened and I found out that I was a pawn in that scam, I was rather disappointed. I wasn't
That's why
even
you're
really
recording
mad.
from Colombia.
That's right, yeah. I'm wanted
Can't
by the
find you.
FBI.
Mhm.
Even though I said I was in Minnesota earlier, maybe I shouldn't
That's
have
a
said that.
cover-up.
Yeah, I might have accidentally given away my actual location. Or is that where
That's
I'm
fine. Nobody
connecting my
listens this
VPN?
far, so that's true, that's true.
Oh, hard to say. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Uh, bye.